Hey guys, tonight we embark on a whispered journey back to the frost-kissed fjords and bustling longhouses of the Viking Age. Imagine waking before dawn, the scent of woodsmoke clinging to the air, the rhythmic thud of a loom, already a comforting hum. You probably won't survive the next winter if you don't keep this household running like a well-oiled ship, so no pressure. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stretch, a tiny yawn escaping, as the first rays of a weak Norse sun barely peek over the mountains. Your day begins not with a leisurely cup of joe, but with the demanding orchestration of a Viking household, a truly formidable enterprise. This isn't just a home, it's the beating heart of your family's economy, a self-sufficient unit where every hand, including yours, contributes. You oversee the milling of grain, the churning of butter, and the preparation of hearty meals that would make a modern-day nutritionist weep with joy and maybe a little fear. A mainstream historical fact, often overlooked, is that these households were typically large, housing extended families, and even thralls, all working in concert. A quirky tidbit, archaeological finds suggest some Viking homes had designated clean areas, perhaps for food preparation, a testament to a surprising degree of domestic organization amidst what we often imagine as a chaotic existence. Historians still argue whether the term household truly captures the sheer scale and economic complexity of these domestic powerhouses. As the morning wears on, your fingers brush against the cool iron of the ring of keys hanging from your belt, a subtle jingle accompanying your steps. This isn't just a fashion accessory, it's a palpable symbol of your power. With these keys, you unlock the storerooms where precious grain, dried fish, and cured meats are kept safe from rodents and hungry eyes. You control the family's textiles, the warm woolens, the durable linens, and often you manage the financial resources, bartering goods, and overseeing transaction. It was a mainstream historical fact that women, as the mistress of the house, held significant authority over the domestic economy, effectively acting as the family's chief financial officer. A quirky tidbit. Some keys from this period are quite ornate, suggesting their symbolic value went beyond mere functionality, perhaps even becoming heirlooms. Historians still argue whether this domestic control translated directly into broader societal influence. Later, your skillful hands pick up the rhythm of the loom. Raw wool, shorn from the shaggy sheep that dot the landscape, transforms into the fine, durable cloth that clothes your family and becomes a vital commodity for trade. Weaving wasn't just a chore, it was an art, a science, and a crucial economic activity. Mainstream historical fact, textiles were so valuable that they were often used as a form of currency, traded for silver, tools, or other necessities. You're not just making a sweater, you're literally weaving society together. A quirky tidbit. The precise patterns and dyes used in Viking textiles can sometimes indicate a person's status or even their regional origin. Honestly, the amount of effort just to avoid chilly drafts makes modern fast fashion look utterly lazy, doesn't it? Historians still argue whether the skill and time involved in textile production elevated the social standing of the weavers themselves or simply the value of their output. Beyond the hearth, your legal standing is surprisingly robust. You navigate the intricacies of Viking Age law, possessing rights to property, to initiate divorce, and to personal protection that might make parth. Your modern counterparts raise an eyebrow in pleasant surprise. A mainstream historical fact, women could own land and personal property, a right not universally afforded to women in many other contemporary societies. This wasn't some fringe loophole, it was customary. A quirky tidbit. If your husband proved to be, shall we say, less than impressive in the marital bed, you could legally seek a divorce. Imagine that on a dating app profile. Historians still argue whether these legal rights were truly equitable in practice or often overshadowed by patriarchal social norms. Sometimes, the mundane gives way to the mystical. You might touch the spiritual realm, perhaps as a time's vulva asterisk, a seer or wise woman, guiding and foretelling for your community. It's a weighty role, connecting the earthly with the unseen, interpreting omens, and even performing rituals. A mainstream historical fact, the Times Vulva Times held a respected, albeit sometimes feared, position in Viking society, consulted on matters of war, harvest, and personal fate. A quirky tidbit. Archaeological evidence, like staff burials, suggests these spiritual leaders were often adorned with unique items, distinguishing them from others. Perhaps it was a Viking Age version of a "Don't mess with me, I see things" t-shirt. Historians still argue whether the time's vulva asterisk's power was truly spiritual or rooted in a profound understanding of herbalism and human psychology. And then there's the question of the Shieldmaiden. You might even wield a weapon, though the extent of women warriors is a hotly contested topic among scholars. Imagine the clang of steel, the adrenaline rush of battle. While historical sagas certainly feature fierce female warriors, definitive archaeological proof has been harder to come by, though recent discoveries are stirring the pot. A mainstream historical fact: women were certainly responsible for defending their homes in the absence of men, and some sagas depict women fighting alongside men. A quirky tidbit: a grave in Birka, Sweden, once identified as a male warrior, was recently re-examined using DNA, suggesting it belonged to a high-ranking female warrior. Talk about a plot twist! Historians still argue whether these individuals were exceptions or indicative of a more widespread female martial tradition. Life in the Viking Age wasn't always about settled hearths. You braved the seas and harsh lands, establishing new homes and societies across vast distances. Imagine the sheer courage it took to pack up everything, perhaps with a ship full of children, and sail into the unknown. A mainstream historical fact: women were crucial in the colonization of new lands like Iceland and Greenland, not just as homemakers, but as integral partners in building new communities. A quirky tidbit: some archaeological finds in Viking settlements abroad show women buried with spindle whorls, symbolizing their role in establishing domesticity and production in new territories. A subtle nod to their foundational contributions. Historians still argue whether the decision to migrate was often a shared family choice or primarily driven by male ambition. As the sun sets on your imagined day, you leave behind a complex legacy, one that challenges the popular image of one-dimensional Viking men. Your story isn't just about hearth and home. It's about power, ingenuity, legal standing, spiritual influence, and even the possibility of wielding a sword. A mainstream historical fact: the diverse roles and responsibilities of women in the Viking Age reveal a society far more nuanced than often portrayed in popular media. A quirky tidbit: some runic inscriptions left by women speak of their independence and journeying, providing direct insight into their self-perception rather than just how men viewed them. Historians still argue whether this multifaceted legacy truly reflects gender equality or a system of complementary but distinct roles. Now, let the echoes of long ships and the whispers of ancient hearths gently recede. Feel the lingering warmth of the imagined fire, the soft hum of the loom fading into the quiet. It's a vast, rich tapestry we've explored tonight, woven with threads of strength, resilience, and a quiet power that transcends millennia. Allow your mind to drift, to let go of the keys, the loom, the shield. The ancient world, in all its complexity, softly settles into the background of your thoughts. There's a calming peace in understanding these hidden histories, isn't there? Just breathe deeply, allowing the gentle murmur of the past to lull you into a restful stillness. Let the imagery dissipate like morning mist, leaving only a serene calm. Sweet dreams.